Office, your favorite Commanders YouTube show. If this is your first time watching, be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on Twitter at the Denton Day. Off-season mode still for the Commanders. They had their first week of mandatory mini camps. We will not see these guys on the field until we get to training camp. Unfortunately, the big story is that no Terry McLaurin contract has been signed yet. I'm optimistic by the next time we see all these guys on the field, Terry will be under contract. But that's not the subject of today's video. You have seen enough about Terry and his contract. You've heard enough about Terry and his contract. Today's subject is more on the defensive side. And if you know me, I'm a bit of a gambler. If you don't know me, maybe this is your first time watching, I'm a bit of a gambler. I'm obsessed with lines. I look at things through lines, and I'm going to set one today, and I want your thoughts down below in the comments and on Twitter at the Denton Day. If I set the line for Marshon Lattimore, interceptions at 4.5, in 2025, are you going over or are you going under? Let me know down below in the comments. Let me know on Twitter, over under 4.5 interceptions for Marshon Lattimore. I'll tell you why. For me, I'm going to go with the number over. I think he might get to 5 interceptions this year. I went to minicamp on Tuesday this past week. It was my only day out there. I wanted to just kind of be around, see what the vibes were. Obviously, the vibes are going to be good. You're back. Everyone's back, with the exception, obviously, of Terry McLaurin. But you're getting to work out and you're getting football in June. So, it's impossible not to be happy about that. And I had a couple of guys that I wanted to watch. I was really intrigued with what the rookies were going to look like. Josh Connerly, who looked really, really good. Trey Amos, who looked really good. Ja'Cory Crooksy-Merritt, who looked really, really good. But I wanted to see what Marshon Lattimore was going to look like. There's been all these rumors about should they trade for Jalen Ramsey? Should they go sign Jair Alexander? Because there's been no movement on that front, it tells me, and it should tell you, that they really like what they have with Marshon Lattimore. And I wanted to see what he looked like. And he made a comment later in the week. So this was not when I was there, but he made a comment later in the week about how he feels like himself. He feels like he's not as timid as he was at the end of last year, but he did admit to the fact that he was timid. If you missed the comment, here it is.
What type of difference do you just notice, the nuances of just being out there? Anything specific that you really can feel a difference compared to last year?
Just the burst, just getting out my brakes and all that. And I was dealing with hamstring, that take a lot out of you, and it take a long time to heal. And I was just trying to battle through that. But now, since I got a full, off season, I just feel great. I feel explosive and all that. So,
I like that Marshon Lattimore said this. I think the honesty that he is portraying there is very, very good. But here's why I actually believe that. Because how often do you see guys at this point in the season talk about how last year was different, this year is going to be much different in a more positive way? Everybody is positive in the month of June. But the reason why I believe this is because when I was there at training camp, or not training camp, at mandatory minicamp on Tuesday, they were doing at the end of practice some 7-on-7, some 11-on-11 stuff. Now, you're not in pads, you're not going full speed, but there was a play. It was a run. You'll have to forgive me. I don't recall which running back it was. It was either Robinson or Crooksy-Merritt. I know it was one of the two of them. They knock off like a what we call a minicamp touchdown, right? They break through basically the second line of defense, and they just run the thing out to the end zone. But the reason why I was so intrigued with this play, it went as kind of a counter. You step right, you go through the left. And on the left side of the defense, right side to the offense, is where Marshon Lattimore was playing. It was the far side of where us, the media, were standing. We stand on like this little hill overlooking the practice field. He was standing on the far side. The run came to us on the near side. And the reason I bring this up is because Brian Robinson, I think it was Robinson, now that I'm putting more thought into it, I believe it was Brian Robinson. He takes that thing to the end zone. But if it was an actual game, he doesn't score because from the backside of the play, Marshon Lattimore comes and chases him down. And like in minicamp, it's, who cares? It's not game speed. You're not tackling, whatever. But I did just find that fascinating. This is before he made the comments of, it didn't look like he had a problem hitting, high speed, not top speed, but high speed, in a way that sometimes last year it looked like he was timid to really hit that burst. Now, with a full off season of healing, and hamstring injuries are tough, like these muscle issues are tough because sometimes they just don't go away. But to see him do that, and then just a day or two later be like, yeah, I was a little timid last year. I am now, with the benefit of an off season, feeling in a much healthier spot. I feel really good about what Marshon Lattimore is going to end up bringing to the defense in 2025. Now, there's another set of things that he is going to have to work on. Against A.J. Brown, against Mike Evans in the postseason, he let the game in the moment get too big for him. I understand as a cornerback, and I want my cornerbacks to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. You have to be just a little bit of crazy in a good way to be a corner, because it's literally, for the most part, mano a mano. It's me versus this person who is standing on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to win this matchup. So you need a little bit of the swagger, you need a little bit of the confidence, bordering on arrogance. But there were times, specifically against Mike Evans, where Lattimore let it get the best of him. He did it in the NFC Championship as well. You let it get the best of you, and then you end up costing your team yardage, and then in turn touchdown. So that stuff needs to be, that cannot happen again in 2025. But if we're going to see a healthy version of Marshon Lattimore, I'm expecting him to produce results that we haven't really seen amongst the cornerbacks in a very, very long time. If you really put some thought into it, the last corner that played here that you really thought could come away with 4 or 5 interceptions on a season was D'Angelo Hall, at least on a consistent basis. There have been some guys sprinkled in that had good seasons since D Hall played here, but in terms of guys being able to force turnovers, it was supposed to be Emmanuel Forbes. Boy, swing and a miss there. But we haven't really had somebody on this roster that can be a turnover machine, or can be a guy that is going to shut down parts of the field, where I do believe that Marshon Lattimore, while maybe not amongst the best of the best corners in this league right now, Surtain is really, really good. There are a couple other guys. Sauce Gardner is really, really good. There are a bunch of other guys across the NFL that are legitimate shutdown guys. I don't know if he is a legitimate shutdown guy, but I do think in 2025 he can be a legitimate number one corner that could come away with 4 or 5 interceptions. One of the things he was really good at in his time in New Orleans was baiting guys, baiting quarterbacks. And you have to have that trait and that instinct to be a top level corner in the NFL. So if he gets to the point where he is back in his bag, as the kids say, in terms of baiting quarterbacks, but now has that explosivity and that burst that he lacked in 2025 to make plays on the football, that should mean good things for the defense. So I'm expecting a big time year from Marshon Lattimore. I was really happy with what I saw. Now, again, it's day one of minicamp. It's not setting the world on fire, but it just looked like he was way more comfortable inside of what he was doing, inside of like actually getting out there and running, than we saw all of last season. So I feel really good about Marshon Lattimore. I want to know how you feel. Let me know down below in the comments. If I set that line over under 4.5 interceptions, what is he going to hit? Is he going to go over 4.5? Is he just going to come away with 3 or 4? Let me know down below. You can tweet me at the Denton Day. I appreciate you coming in for the Sunday service variation of Denton's office. Now, respectfully, get out.